Here's a question for you. How long have you lived in Oregon? If you recently moved here, you probably don't know about Oregon's nuclear past. The Trojan Nuclear Power Plant was located just north of Portland. It was shut down 24 years ago, but it left something behind, something that will be here well into the future. Tonight, Coin 6 investigates what is our radiation risk. May 21st, 2006, an implosion by a demolition crew erases an Oregon landmark. Just an hour's drive north of Portland along the Columbia River, the Trojan Nuclear Power Plant went online in 1976. Trojan went offline in 1992. The reactor, control room, buildings all torn down, the cooling tower explosion, a dramatic end to Portland General Electric's nuclear power plant. But there was something left behind, something so lethal and dangerous, it's guarded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I'm entering a place the public isn't allowed into, a highly secure area at the former Trojan site. Escorted by Steve Corson of PGE, I had come to see this, 34 concrete cylinders, or casts, holding more than 379 tons of highly radioactive nuclear waste. These silent cement silos contain Trojan's 16-year history, 790 spent uranium fuel rods that once powered Oregon's only nuclear power plant.
When you get right down to it, a facility like this is designed to be boring. The goal is to make sure that nothing happens here.
But there is something you can't see. Trojan sits on a local earthquake fault. An even larger issue, geologists say a devastating subduction quake will strike Oregon someday. Will these casts survive intact, preventing a deadly radiation leak?
We would not expect to see any damage to these storage containers as a result of something like that.
But recent history can't be ignored. August 23, 2011, a 5.8 quake shakes Virginia's North Anna nuclear reactor, causing an emergency shutdown. That was expected. What stunned the experts? The giant casts holding spent nuclear fuel shifted and moved, some several inches. Concrete flaked off several other casks.
I said, I can't believe that, because the magnitude was not really super significant compared to what the big earthquakes that affect us out here and major amounts of damage.
Scott Burns is a professor of geology at Portland State. He says a major subduction quake would be 27,000 times more powerful than the moderate Virginia quake.
And so when we're talking 27,000 times the amount of shaking, oh my God, those are going to definitely move. And then when they move, what will happen to them?
So just moving an inch or two, even though that's pretty unlikely, these are very heavy containers.
Yet it happened in a very moderate quake with similar containers in Virginia, and we would expect something much more powerful than that.
But even movement shouldn't be a problem. Even if you somehow knocked one over, that should not be a problem.
Inside the concrete shell of each cast sits an inner stainless steel canister. Inside the canister, the highly radioactive spent fuel rods. As the fuel decays, it generates incredible amounts of heat. On our visit, you could see the heat being vented from the top of the cast. We were told the air temperature surrounding the cast about 135 degrees, and the spent fuel rods will remain radioactive for thousands of years. Following the Virginia quake, some nuclear experts recommended casks in earthquake-prone areas be bolted down or secured to help prevent movement. Are they bolted down here at all? Or is that something that PG looked at the time?
I'm going to take a hold here.
Corson wanted to make sure he had the right answer.
You know, the answer to the questions right now, they're not bolted down. They were resting on the concrete pad. I don't know if we've looked at whether...
And they did evaluate, the previous manager did look at that issue.
PGE later sent me an email clarifying the facts. The Trojan casts are 30 tons heavier than the casts in Virginia. PGE admits the Trojan casts would slide as much as 5 inches in the event of a significant quake, but they would have to move more than 7 feet before a cask would be in danger of toppling over. I reached out to Robert Alvarez, a noted expert on nuclear fuel storage. He says the design of the casks is also critical.
You know, the safety analyses that have been done on these dry casks were done for sites in the eastern United States, and they hadn't really accounted for the high seismic activity in the western United States.
PGE says the Trojan casks are designed to withstand a major quake, but if something did happen and the spent rods became exposed?
Well, standing right here, we would have a problem being this close to that material if it weren't shielded. But it would be a localized problem, so if you were down in Rainier, for instance, you wouldn't have a problem there.
PGE is confident Trojan's radioactive waste can survive a natural disaster intact. While scientists can only speculate about earthquake damage, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has predicted what would happen if an explosion destroyed a cask.
That would release thousands of curies of radioactivity and result in very significant doses within a 10-mile radius.
And that's why these casks are guarded around the clock, a reminder of Oregon's nuclear past. They sit and wait for something not to happen. The real issue here, Trojan was never supposed to be the permanent home for its nuclear waste. Trojan, like dozens of other sites across the country, are on a waiting list for a national nuclear waste repository. Nevada's Yucca Mountain was chosen as a secure storage site, but residents in southern Nevada fought that move. So for now, there is no permanent site. Join me for